I don't give each member your full attention. We will have time for questions after the presentations. So please help me by welcoming Sergeant Albert Willie, Usmc, to Har-Ber High School.
Thank you for having me. I'm just going to start with my why I joined the service. I was a junior in high school, and I really didn't have any plans. College wasn't really in my future, so I went ahead and looked at going into the Air Force. Well, when they come to school and did the ASVAB test, and the Air Force kind of looked at me. I was one of the maybe punk kids, you want to say. So, I had my T-shirt on with my flannel shirt over top, and I didn't think I fit their model, what they were looking for. Then I sent away for something, and the Marine Corps sort of got a hold of me before my scores came back, and so I started hanging out with the Marine Corps, and it was kind of fun. And when my scores come back, it's like everybody wanted me, so I made an appointment with the Air Force, and they something else happened. I couldn't make it, so I had to postpone it. So we made another date, and the second date come along and postponed it again. It's like, I think I'm just going to the Marine Corps. I think I'm wasting your time and my time. So I ended up joining the Marine Corps. And my uncle was in the Marine Corps, so he was sort of maybe pushed me a little bit that way too. So joined the Marine Corps, got down to boot camp, and oh my God, that first night there, like, what did I do? Because it was, they said, welcome to Paris Island, South Carolina. You're about to embark on the, Marine Corps boot camp training, and it was pretty cool. And all of a sudden, they started yelling at you, get off my bus, get out there and stand. And then they process you into the Marine Corps. Unfortunately, I had a mustache when I went in there. And I think I was like the 100th person to use that razor to get rid of that mustache, because I think it pulled every hair out. It didn't cut nothing. You get your hair cut and everything. And then go through boot camp, and then that's another thing too. The proudest day of my life, I think, was when they talked about the history of the Marine Corps, and then when you graduated, they go, I charge you with the title Marine. So now I got to meet up to all the expectations of all the Marines before me. So it was proud to be one of them, and at the same time a little bit scary that I had to meet up to their reputation. So went through my MOS training, Fort Lawson Woods in the state of Missouri. So they taught me how to become a heavy equipment operator. Went out to the Fleet Marine Force, stationed at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. And then, from there, they ship you out wherever they need you. So I spent most of my time on a Navy ship, deployed somewhere. Been Honduras twice, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Mediterranean Sea, which was awesome. That's one of the perks of the military, because you get to travel. Like I would have never seen Europe, been to Turkey. I didn't realize Turkey was actually on 2 different continents until I was actually there. It's on Asia and Europe. So, but it's a lot of neat things you get to do. You get to do like new things too. When I was in Honduras, one of the deals was a Navy or a merchant marine ship came in, and they have 30 days of supplies. So if we're in combat somewhere, you need your supplies. So the ship comes in, and we actually practice unloading the ship, and that way we got to rotate everything. All the equipment on it was serviced. The stuff that was expiring, we got to take off. So we had to build a road through a swamp in Honduras. And they had this honeycomb stuff. It's like 6 inches thick. And we put a base down through the swamp, and then we put that stuff on top of it, and then filled it with sand so the trucks can go across. So that's one of the things. I was a heavy equipment operator, so I had to build roads, load ships, unload ships. That way our troops that are actually fighting have supplies. Most of the military, it's 80% of the people are supporting the 20% that fight. So, I mean, it's a whole system. We had, my platoon, I was a support company, so I had cooks, I had a dock, I had utilities, heavy equipment, motor T. So my job was to, make sure the troops got supplied with stuff, fresh water, like I said, get the trucks, the roads, get the supplies to the front line. So, one of the good things about being a Marine or a service person in general is when you get out, if you go for a civil service job or something like that, you get points, you get credit. So when I got out and came here to Springdale, I just took I figured I wanted to be a firefighter is what I wanted to do. So I took the Springdale Fire Department's test, and I got hired. And I think they actually gave 5 bonus points for military service. So whatever my score was, like if I tied with somebody, that service will give me the extra points to get hired. Some of the bad things, this is what made me decide to get out of the Marine Corps. My son was 2 years old. Of that 2 years, I was only home for 8 months. So that's really hard on the family. So if you want to be career-oriented, you can go to the service and, do what you're doing. Some of the branches might be easier than others. Marine Corps, especially like infantry, they went out 30 days at a time into the field, and then they'd come back into they call it garrison, when you come back to the barracks and actually live on the main side is what we call it. So I keep looking at Justin. He was a Marine also, so I'm not 100% sure what he did, but he knows what I did. So that's my career in a nutshell. So do I have any questions about the Marine Corps? Okay. I had a lot of good times too. Like I said, you get liberty. One thing I used to like doing is getting shore duty, shore patrol. So we'd go out on shore patrol, and he'd learn all the good places to go in town. Like, I don't know anything about France. So like I said, volunteered for shore duty, went out there and let the other guys, figure out what to do. And I just sort of kept them in line. If they got in trouble, maybe brought them back to the ship. So I'd learn a little bit and then go out the next day. And like I said, I already know where to go eat or how to stay out of trouble. That's the big thing you got to do, stay out of trouble in the military. Because if you get in trouble in the military, it's not like the civilian world. They get on you, and you can really mess up your career. Another thing, attitude. If you have a good attitude, positive, just I can do this, or they give you a lot of stuff that's like, well, let's get it done. As long as you have a good attitude, you really do good. So I kept myself out of trouble. I think I had a pretty good attitude, and I think I did pretty good, as far as getting promoted and moving up the ranks. Got a lot of responsibility added to you. So again, just go ahead and put your nose to the pavement and start grinding away. So where's my... Go ahead, question.
So when you were in, did they have GI Bills and did you use that to further your career, or were you able to pass it on to your children?
When I went in, they had the VEEP program, and I don't know if you can pass that on to your children or not, but when I first got out and got hired at the fire department, I figured I wasn't going to go to college, and so I just cashed it out. So, but my kids, they're both Marine veterans, and they're both using their money, their GI Bill. So my son's studying to be a computer technician, and I don't know what my daughter's doing. She doesn't know what she's doing yet either. So she's just doing the core classes like the math and the Englishes and that kind of stuff. But that's another thing you can, the military has those programs like that to get some money for school. So, question? I got E5. It took me, I think, 4 years to get it, and that's pretty good. When I was getting out, I was in the staff eligibility range, so I wasn't in the promotion range yet, just the eligibility range. So if I would have re-enlisted, I probably would have picked up staff sergeant pretty soon after that. So that's another thing too, as I, like I said, I did very well while I was in there. So my, well, that's another thing. When you re-enlist, you can re-enlist for a duty station that you want. My daughter actually re-enlisted for Italy, thinking she wasn't going to get it. Well, when she re-enlisted, they sent her to Italy. Anyway, then she calls me and said, "Dad, I don't know what to do. I was ready to get out, but they gave me what I wanted," so she felt obligated to re-enlist. She went to Italy for 2 years. You can get a plane in anywhere in Europe for like $200. So she's seen all of Europe, while she was over there. Just jump on a plane and go. So, I mean, the military gives you a lot of opportunities that you wouldn't normally have. I know if I want to go to Europe now, it's probably like $1,300 to go to, or $13,000 to go to over to Europe, where Uncle Sam sent me over there. So, question?
What kept you driving during your Marine Corps? What kept yourself going every single day?
Well, it's like anything. You get up to go to work. I used to like going to work. Even as a firefighter, I got up and go to work. And again, I used to, if you go in there and think, "Oh, this stinks, I don't want to be here." If it's that bad, you need to try to find another job. But if you have a good attitude and said, "Okay, what are we going to do today?" Like on Mondays, we used to have like platoon PT. So we'd go, say we had something fun, we'd go play basketball or something like that for an hour. And then on Wednesday was company PT. So we'd always run. And then battalion PT was usually different. Either you all use run. We used to put all of our stuff on and go, we call it hump. So basically go hiking with all your gear in formation. So, I mean, each day was a little bit different, and it was like mine was like a 9 to 5 job. So I'd come in there and I'd check my equipment, and then if somebody needed stuff moved, if we needed to go dig a hole for engineers to figure out how to breach, we'd go out there and dig a big pit. We'd make landing zones. This is a fun one. We had like a bunch of generals and stuff coming in from another country, and there was a big to-do out in our field. So anyway, they sent me out there in a grader to grade the road. That way they wouldn't spill their coffee when the generals and that were driving into the range. So we'd go ahead and I went out there and looked at it, and the whole road was good. I mean, I didn't have to touch it. There was one little pothole. I just got out there and kicked some stones into it, filled the stones up. Anyway, then they said, "Well, you can stay and watch it if you want to." So I backed my grader up into the woods a little bit, and they come in and put the whole show on. They showed like the guys in the gunny suits coming up and sneaking up and trying to attack something, and they had a Harrier jet come in, land. and just like a mock combat deal. So again, I went out there, I took the job, went out there to do it, and did very little and enjoyed the show. So, is it my time? Okay. So at this time, you introduce for me? You will? Okay. Well, thank you for having me.
All right, can y'all hear me? All right. It is now my pleasure to introduce Specialist 4, Kelly Robinson of the Army. So please give her a resounding round of applause.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Can you all hear me okay? Okay, great. So when I was in high school, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. My older brother was in law enforcement, and he would frequently come home and tell us stories about, what he had done during his shift. And so I had a feeling that I wanted to go into law enforcement. So after high school, I started college and was studying criminal justice. And about a year and a half in, I just made the decision to go into the military. So I had talked to different recruiters. I think the Army was the only branch of service where if I passed the test necessary to become a military police officer, I could do that. Other branches, they don't necessarily allow that. I don't know if that changed between then and now, but and so I went into the Army in 1995, served for about 4 years, and was a military police officer. So MPs can do various things. So what I did was I was on a base running patrol. So I was driving a police car and pulling people over and responding to calls. But we also had other things that we could do. So I was in an honor guard unit. So whenever someone in the military would retire, there would be a ceremony that our unit would participate in. I was also part of a color guard unit, which you'll see those at sporting events, the people that are carrying the flags and the rifles. I was given the opportunity to be in a color guard unit as the first female in my unit, so that was a great honor. I also did bike patrol, so I went to a school to learn how to ride a bike defensively and respond to calls with that, and again, given the honor of being the first female in my unit to do that. So a lot of really great opportunities that I was given. Let's see, so beyond that, I went into the military, did my training at Fort McClellan, which is Alabama. Did my basic training and MOS training there, which is basically MP school. And then after that, I went to Atlanta, Georgia, and I was there in 1996, which you probably don't know this, but they had the Olympics there in 1996. So as a member of our bike patrol unit, I was given the opportunity to participate in the closing ceremonies of the 1996 Olympics. So another really great opportunity that I wouldn't have had if I didn't go in. And then after I left Atlanta, I went to Germany, which was a great dream. I loved being over there. I was in Stuttgart, Germany, and while I was there, I did basically the same things. So I would run patrol. I also worked in our MP station, our police station. I got a chance to learn a little bit of German while I was there. I know very little to this day, but it was just really beautiful to be able to travel, see the country, learn about different cultures. And so I'm just really thankful that I was given the opportunity to actually serve. So I'm going to speak on that for a minute. I feel like I went into the service because I wanted to lead a life of service. I knew that I liked helping people, and I received that example from my dad, who was in the Army. I had 2 uncles that were in the Air Force. Both of my grandfathers served in World War II. So my family has a long history of serving, and so I'm just really thankful that I had the opportunity to do that. And it transferred into life. So when I was in high school, I was really, really shy, pretty awkward, and I gained a lot of confidence. And it helps me in life today. So I feel like I'm a totally different person because of the time that I spent in the service. So I want to make sure that you have some time to ask me some questions. I'll elaborate on some things, but does anyone have any questions for me right now? Yes, sir. That's a good question. So I'm not sure if you all heard, but he was just asking if there was ever a time that I felt like giving up. So boot camp was tough. It was really challenging. Probably the hardest thing that I've ever done. And they're teaching you to have confidence in yourself, so that you know what you're supposed to be doing. I would say that was probably, just trying to get through that. One of the things that I feel like I struggled with when I was going through boot camp was the physicality of it. So in high school, I played a lot of sports. So I was used to, running and being active. But one of the requirements in the Army is having to do so many push-ups. Okay, so I didn't have a lot of upper body strength, and so that was something that was kind of holding me back. You have to pass PT tests in order to continue serving, and so one of my female drill sergeants noticed that I was really struggling with it and trying very hard, and so she took me aside and spent time with me. And taught me things that would help me with getting through that. And to this day, I just remember that was just awesome that she took me aside and did that. So that's a very good question. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes. No, I wasn't there during that time. But yes, not a lot of people know about that. Thanks for asking. Yeah. Yes.
So after boot, when you did your police, your MP training, where was that and how long was that? And is it comparable to civilian?
I would say it is. I don't remember the exact amount of time because a lot of times in the Army, you'll do your basic training one place, and then you might go to another location to do your MOS training, specified training. For me, I had it at the same place. So when I went to Fort McClellan, we went through basic all together, and then just continued on with MP schools. So altogether, trying to remember. I think it was towards I went in the probably March time frame, and it was the end of the summer by the time I got finished. So, yeah, I would say it's pretty comparable. I had friends that got out and went into local law enforcement, and when you do that, you do have to go through, local law enforcement training. They don't necessarily accept, whatever training you went through in the military. So. Yes, so I work in banking, which is so far from being in law enforcement. So the reason that I left the service was I was starting a family, having my first baby, and my husband at the time was already out. He was in the States and I was over in Germany. So that was really tough, being newly married, getting ready to have a baby, and being separated from your spouse. So that's why I got out of the service. And then for many years, I just worked various jobs to work around my kids' schedules. But then about 9 years ago was given an opportunity to work in banking, and my military experience really lends to what I'm doing today. So what I do today is I go out in the community and I talk with people, get to know them and find ways that I can help them. So translates really well in what you're doing in life, because if I think back to the person that I was when I was in high school, very shy and didn't really want to talk to people very much, I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have that experience with military and gaining that confidence. So, any other questions? Is anyone in here considering going into the military? Will you raise your hand? Okay. So what are you thinking that you want to do? Do you have any idea what branch you might want to go into? Not quite sure. Do you have anyone that you're talking to about it? Your uncle, okay. Okay. Yeah, but you're not leaning towards any particular branch? Okay. Yeah, okay. You should talk to me after this. Okay? Say that one more time. In the military? Do you have any idea of what branch? Yes. Yes. Right, yeah.
Of course, y'all are talking about boot camp, and I'm over here going, what do they do in boot camp that's just horrifying? Everyone's talking about how scary it is.
It's a lot of yelling. There's a lot of yelling. But it's that's okay. Yeah. Yeah. But there's more to it than that. There's a lot of camaraderie when you're in the military, and sometimes people that are in, once you get out, you kind of miss that. It's like a family. You get really well acquainted with the people that you're serving with, and to this day, I've been out for a really long time. I got out the end of 1998. That's quite a while. And I still keep in contact with people that I served with. So, yeah. Yeah. Are there any other questions for me? And could you tell me your name? Megan. Okay. All right, Megan, I'll talk to you after this, okay? All right, thank you so much.
All right, we have about 10 minutes left, so if we would like, please help me by welcoming Mr. Justin Charles, USMC.
Morning, everybody. My name is Justin Charles. I joined the Marine Corps on 9/11. I watched the second plane hit, and I drove straight to the recruiting office. Something in me it's always been inside my body. I just always wanted to fight. I always wanted to join. I always wanted to serve a higher purpose than what I was doing here at home. 3 weeks later, after joining, I was in Marine boot camp in San Diego. There's two different spots for Marine boot camp. There's one on the East Coast called Parris Island. There's one in San Diego. And essentially everybody that lives west of the Mississippi River goes to San Diego. Everybody east goes to Parris Island. Let me just say this about boot camp. Don't be afraid of boot camp. It's a learning experience. They teach you life skills. They teach you how to be tough, how to be mentally tough, physically tough. They teach you camaraderie. They teach you history. It teaches you a life skill of learning how to not let something bad happens in your life and not let your entire life fall apart. It teaches you mental fortitude. Confidence is another one. I went through boot camp with guys that, I guess you could call them like nerds or whatever, little frail guys, and they were some of the toughest human beings I've ever met in my entire life. They teach you to keep pushing through everything. And that's one thing I've taken with me for my life. My Marine Corps experience has been a little different than Sergeant Willie's. I joined to actually fight. I wanted to go serve my country on the battlefield, so I joined the infantry. From there, I went into more of specialization called reconnaissance. From that point, I served 2 tours in Iraq. I was there for the invasion in 2003, a very politically charged war, I will say that. But I did my duty. My second tour went back to Iraq again. We had nonstop combat. That's the life I chose. That's not the life you have to choose, okay? There's plenty of other jobs in the military that you can do that don't put you in direct harm. Me, on the other hand, I kind of like adrenaline in a way, and so that was at the time, that's where I wanted to go. During my experience, some of the negatives of it, especially with combat, unfortunately, I was in 4 different roadside bomb attacks. One of them put shrapnel, like bomb fragments, in my knee and a little piece in my face. Thankfully, knock on wood, I survived. Some of my friends did not, unfortunately. But it taught me a lesson about life. It taught me how, no matter what I'm going through, relationships, work, school, whatever it is, I always think back to that moment where I survived this stuff that I'm dealing with at home is minimal compared to that. I think that is the worst thing anybody could ever experience or go through. So it's given me confidence to know that no matter how stressful I am at work or whatever, things are never going to be that bad. I'm going to survive. I'm alive. And so, but no, so I spent 4.5 years in the Marine Corps. I got out. I actually came back home. I'm actually a Springdale graduate of 1998. Coach Benson back here was my junior high civics teacher. Kind of thank him for teaching me about government and stuff, and so that's kind of where I went after joining. I started contract work. Contract work is a little bit different. It's a lot like the military, but you're a civilian. I worked on the security aspect of stuff. I went back to Afghanistan, working as a security contractor for the U.S. State Department. We would protect diplomats, U.S. ambassadors, senators, congressmen, anybody who comes and travels. Through that, I managed a network. And that's another thing about the military is it teaches you that sense of networking and how to talk to people and how to kind of make your way in life by conversing with others. If you're a very shy person, it's going to wake you up. If you're a very outgoing person, it's going to make you 10 times more outgoing. It's just kind of what it does. But no, so I worked in the State Department for about 2 years, and then I was recruited. I'm not real open about it, but I will be for you guys because of the service. I was recruited to go work on a security program for the Central Intelligence Agency. I spent 15 years with them, roughly. Doing the same stuff, protecting U.S. diplomats that would travel into war zones. Been on six countries, 3 continents. And through that, I learned a lot more life skills about business, about just the value of being a good human to others. You know, you see the worst of the worst, and it makes you want to be the best person that you can be. It was a job that I went into because I missed that camaraderie. I missed that sense of duty to my country. It was just a different form of service, per se. It just, I don't know what to say about it, but it's. I can't elaborate too much on that aspect. But just service to me means going and doing something that you just normally would not, nobody else would want to do. Standing up and for what you know is right. I knew on 9/11, once I saw the first plane hit, then the second plane hit, I knew it was terrorism. I kind of already knew about terrorism prior to that because I studied a lot. But I just knew it was the right thing to do. And the military really taught me that even more so when I got in. Taught me not only how to fight mentally, physically, with weapons and whatnot, but it taught me how to fight in life, how to never give up, how to win at all costs, and to never quit on anything. So, funny story, back up a little bit. When I graduated in 98, I actually joined the Army. I went to Fort Benning, Georgia to go to basic training. I got stuck there at this place called 30th AG. It's a reception station. It's where everybody comes in. You start doing your administrative work, your haircuts, getting all your gear issued to you. And I quit after 2 months. I hated it. Couldn't do it. They sent me home. So for 3 years, that haunted me inside, internally, quitting on my country. From that point on, once 9/11 hit, I knew I had to do something to fix that inside me. So that's why I joined the Marine Corps. I knew if I hadn't gone, it was going to I probably wasn't going to last very long in this world. It took a lot out of me to quit on my country, on my family, on my friends, on my community, and then I felt like I made that up. So that's kind of my sense of duty. It gave me pride in what I do now. And so what I do now, I resigned from the U.S. government in March 2020, and now I work for a ultra high net worth family out of Fort Smith. So very wealthy people. I handle all of their personal security, all their travel security, all their corporate security. I teach them on bomb threats, active shooter threats. I teach them self-defense, all that kind of good stuff. So I'm literally taking everything I've learned over the last 20 years and bringing it into this job now. And so that's one thing that's helped me learn. I never went to college. I still have my GI Bill, haven't really used it. But the military and my government life taught me a life skills. Taught me how I can get ahead without having to go to college. I'm not like everybody. I'm not saying college is bad. College is really good. For me, on the other hand, I just couldn't sit in a classroom for a long time. I love studying on my own. I love reading books. I read about 30 books a year. And it's just something that I kind of stuck with. So, but I'll open it up for questions. Anybody? Yep. So, infantry skills, fighting, firearms, shooting, what we call counterterrorism, literally going house to house fighting. They teach you that. They teach you survivability. They teach us how to disarm bombs, how to blow up stuff, things of that nature. So, yeah, they do. The Marine Corps, they do teach you martial arts. They actually have a joke in the Marine Corps that in Marine boot camp, they teach Marine Corps martial arts. They teach you enough just to get your butt kicked. It's kind of involved. It's more like mixed martial arts in a way. So, oh, and since that, I learned mixed martial arts and martial arts in the Marine Corps, which helped me move out of the Marine Corps. I learned, once I got out, I started in mixed martial arts and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I still do that to this day. It actually helps me with having post-traumatic stress. It gives me a sense of purpose. When I'm stressed out, I can go to the mats and I can go train, and nothing else matters, and it goes away. So that's kind of one benefit I got from it. So, anybody else? Yep. I was 21 years old. I joined a little bit late. They kind of made jokes because I was the oldest guy in my boot camp platoon. Everybody else was like 18 and 19. One kid was 16 years old. His parents gave him permission to go early. But that's another thing I want to speak about real quick. The sense of duty that some people have for this country is one of the most motivating, phenomenal things I've ever seen. A 16-year-old kid, 16-year-old kid serves amazing, just like the rest of us. So, but appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Proud to be here.
All right, everyone, that bell rang a few minutes ago, so go ahead and head to advisory. We will be live streaming and having some more guest speakers during advisory. Thank you.